morning, world, and thanks for joining me for another Boots on the Ground life. Oi, it's a beautiful day today. Not really sunshiny, but great temperature, and the birds are all out singing, and just a good day. I don't really know sometimes what makes those days good days when you wake up, but you can just tell you got a good head on your shoulders that morning, and that's what it feels like today. So it's a good day. It was kind of a little bit of a restless night for me. I don't really know. Well, I do know why it was a restless night, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, and probably just meander through a couple of things. We like to meander. I'm always the person that picks the off-road adventures. I don't like going on paths that have been tread too many times. So that fits for my podcast to be more about things that aren't in nice, neat little boxes. So we'll continue that thread and that way of doing things. So last night was a little bit restless for me, and it came from an opportunity that came up. And this again is just an introduction to the world of Carolyn, but I think it might be applicable to a lot of other people, so that is why I am sharing and talking about these things, because they are not flaws. I don't want to say flaws. They are parts of my character that I have had to deal with and come up against time and time and again. And I'm still trying to do that. And I keep wondering, is there going to be a day when I don't second guess myself so much, when I don't think so thoroughly and deeply about things, that I don't prevent myself from doing things just for the enjoyment or the benefit of others without thinking about how I can fail. That's basically what it comes down to. And so it's a part of who I have been from my childhood. We've talked about this before. I've always not felt like I was good enough. I need to do things perfectly, or they are not done well. And I shouldn't bother doing them. That was always kind of my philosophy. So I've held myself back from doing things because I didn't think I could do it perfectly or do it as well as somebody else. Or, if I make a mistake, well, then it's all done. I can't recover from it. I can't redo it. I can't rebound. And so rather than suffering through that mental anguish, I would rather just not try things a lot of times. And that's what I've done a lot of my life. I'm a go-getter in a lot of ways, but I do the easy fruit stuff a lot of times. I do the things that I know I can conquer and I can take over. But anything that offers more of a challenge, this is it's such a oxymoron with me, because I love challenges and I take them on. But I evaluate things with a cost-based analysis. What is it going to cost me? How potentially successful will I be able to be with this? And if it doesn't come out high enough on the scale, then I am apt to walk away from it. Even though it could be good. It could be fine. My not doing great could be somebody else's best. And yet again, I don't want to be comparing myself to others. And that's not always how it works out in my head, when I'm trying to process through this information. It's not so much about being better than others. It's about being as good as I can be. And if I don't think that I'm as good as I can be, when I sing something and I miss a note, it's not that it's off key or something, but if I knew I wanted 3 notes in there and I only get the 2 because I was doing something, I can beat myself up about that missed note. Nobody else would even know that that note was supposed to be there, but I know. And that's where the rub and the hard part comes for me is to have grace for myself, have an understanding that I am human, I am fallible, I am not meant to be perfect. I can't be perfect, even in the times that I think, ooh, I nailed that, I did that really well. I still messed up, but maybe it was in mess ups that I knew nobody else would be able to know, and so I can fool myself a little bit in that, and so an opportunity came up yesterday to do something that I love to do, but I don't always love to do it publicly anymore because it's been a really long time, and so I was thinking through it all. Do I want to do this? Can I do this just for fun and not be so concerned about if I'd match up with this and this or that and that? Can I just take this opportunity and it's for a benefit? So can I you put my selfishness, my self-absorbedness aside to help out this organization or this place by giving them a little bit of my talents, and so that's been the struggle for me overnight. Like, okay, part of me is excited about it. It's excited about being able to share some of my gifts and to create a space of happiness for people for an evening. And then the other part of me goes, no, you'll just get too nervous, you'll mess up, you'll do all these things wrong. And good morning. And so, I was sitting there just second guessing myself through all of it. What is the right way to do this? Have I learned anything in these 47 years about grace for myself, grace for others, not having to beat myself up for things that I think I might not have done as well as I could have. And so I don't know. It's still a thought process for me. And I'm going to have to take counsel with my husband and my children and put it in front of them too, not that it's a cost of a huge amount of time or anything like that to where it's going to mess up our schedule. But these people know me better than anybody else knows me, and I want to value their input into my life and say, this is what I'm scared about. This is what I'm nervous about. Is this, can I do this? And I was talking to my husband about it last night. He's like, oh my goodness, you can do that in your sleep. You can do this so fine. You're so good at it. And I don't see that in myself. I don't see so good. I don't see nailing it. I see all the ways that I fail. And so I need that pouring in from my husband to help me, I think, conquer this. It's something that I've put off a long time, thinking someday there'll be an opportunity where I could get back to this a little bit. And yay, I can't wait for that day. But then when the opportunity knocks, I always say, oh, no, not yet. I don't think I'm ready yet. And how many more years do I need to let it go by before I say, yeah, I'm ready? And you know what? In all reality, it'll be one night and nothing else will come of it. But like I said, I like to gameplay everything. I like to think of all the options and opportunities and instances that might come about from something before I commit to doing it. And that's just kind of stupid on one hand, because who knows? Who knows if it'll lead to anything? It might be nothing. And I can get myself all worked up and concerned about things that will never happen. And that's like I've shared with you guys before. I think it was Earl Nightingale said, when you're worried about things, write it down. Because I think it was something like 90% of the things that you believe will happen, either good or bad, don't happen. And we spend so much stressful time dealing with it and thinking through it and processing it. And then it was all for naught, because whether it was good or bad stuff that we were hoping for, most of it doesn't come true. And so I want to be better about stopping myself from doing that. The Lord gives us talents. He gives us things that we can bring joy and life to other people's lives and bones, right? That's what the Bible talks about, life to our bones. And why wouldn't I want to share those gifts that God has given me? Because I'm afraid I might mess up, because I'm afraid that I won't be as perfect as I would like to be. Is that a good reason? And so I'm processing through that stuff. Like I said, there's a side of me that's excited and planning it out and thinking, okay, I can do this and this and this. And then the other part of me goes, no, you shouldn't attempt that, or you're probably not as good as you need to be to do that. So we probably should just pass on the opportunity. And so I'm having this war inside myself. And when I have a war going on inside myself, it affects my dreams, it affects my sleep. And so I woke up a few times during the middle of the night, having been dreaming about deciding yes or no to this thing. And then I sit there and go, okay, yeah, well, that was some valid points you had in your dream. There's some concerns that maybe need to be paid attention to. There's some joys that you need to, express and settle into and just take for what they're worth. And then I try to go back to sleep again, and it's still there, it still comes up. And so I was trying to figure out how do we conquer those mindsets? How do we deal with our personalities, with our thought processes to move the ball down the line, right? We want to make touchdowns eventually. We want to score goals. We want to make something good from our lives. And so how do we get our minds into gear to do that? And I came across a conversation of a husband and wife that have been married for a really long time. And one of the phrases that they talked about was that there's always a game of holes and ladders that we play in marriage. And it was so heartwarming to me to see it in that framework, that we fall down into pits in our lives, and the person that we're most closely connected with, our spouse, can put that ladder down in there, and they can either help us get back to the surface if we're ready to come out, or they can climb down in there with us and stay in the darkness and stay there, maybe dance a little with us down there. Say, it's okay down here for a little bit. If we need to stay down here, it's okay. And at some point in time, you'll be ready to come up. And then on the other hand, the other spouse falls into that dark hole down the road. And you get to be the person that goes in and either saves them by putting the ladder down and calling them back up, or getting down there in the dark with them and sitting and living for a little while. And it's such a beautiful picture of what marriage can be, what good relationship can be. It's what the Bible talks to us about too. David's prayers so many times. You are with me in the darkness. You are with me in the bad stuff. You don't just say, forget it. Don't think about it. Just do what you have to do. You are with me. You abide with me in those dark times, and then you call me out of them. And we get to do that for each other. Oh my goodness, what a concept. So it was, there was more to that conversation of marriage stuff, and just talking about, the people that you marry aren't the same people that you're going to be married to for the rest of your life. We all grow and change, and we maneuver around each other. We find times when we don't like each other very much, and times when we can't imagine life apart. There's just so much changing that goes on, and we have to go into marriage knowing that, you don't want to, and you don't get to stay stagnant in a relationship, any relationship, but especially marriage. And so, there will be times of great joy. There will be times of frustration. There will be times of sorrow. And what you have to pray and continue to walk through is that you both won't be in separate holes at the same time. That one of you will always have the ladder, either to climb down or to help the other one climb up. And so, I was putting that onto my current situation. And this is where I start going into a hole. I start getting fearful of not measuring up, of not doing something well. And I need my spouse to put that ladder down in the hole and come with me down there for a little while, and then also be able to help me get back up. And I have to be willing to let him do that, to not bar the hole, say, nope, you can't come down, this is my hole. I can't refuse his care and love for me by saying, nope, I just want to stay here by myself. I'm going to turn away from any kind of intimacy that we could have regarding this flaw, what is the right word, this obstacle that's in front of me. I'm thinking of, I can't remember what those things are called, but when racers run and they jump, the hurdles. Yeah, this hurdle in front of me. No, this is just mine, and you can't help me over it. I have to do it all on my own. And I've had to do that for most of my life. My hurdles were my own. I didn't have people that were diligent and pursuant about helping me over those. And so I learned to just suck it up, buttercup, and deal with the hurdles, deal with what's going on, and figure it out. And you'll come out the other end. You'll find a ladder out of the tunnel at some point in time. So just keep going. And it doesn't do well for marriages, for relationships, if you have people that do that just keep it all to themselves, because that's not how you build more and deeper relationship. We need to walk with each other through the dark times. We need to be with each other through the good times. We need to always be the two is better than one idea that the Bible talks about. If there are two people, they can stay warm together, but one by itself can't. If you have two people traveling down the road and somebody jumps out to rob you, you have a better chance of conquering them if you have two than if it's a one-on-one situation. And yet I try to go through life so often not inviting those people into my fears, into my darkness, to allow them to help me, to be another shoulder to carry some of the weight, to help me think through things in a more realistic and thoughtful way, so I don't get bogged down by the voices that I hear in my head of saying, you're not enough, you're not good enough, nobody will enjoy this, you won't be successful. And so, I'm looking at this opportunity and I'm like, I think right now I need to do this, because I need to go punch fear in the face. I need to go kick some teeth out. This fighter part of me needs to be evoked in a way that I haven't been able to do it in this particular area in this particular instance. And maybe it's because it's more dear to my heart. Maybe it's because it's something that's, if you removed it from Carolyn, I would feel like I'd lost an arm or a leg. It's something very valuable to me. And so if I don't succeed at it, I would feel less of a person. And that is what I think is talking to me. And I think that's also where I have to trust in the Holy Spirit's guiding to say, it's time. It's time to just look at this thing and use it. Use the talent, the gifts that God has given to you. Hey, you might fall. You might fall flat on your face. You might end up, not being an asset to the benefit. But you might really be one. And going always with the negative isn't going to serve you well. And it's not how I approach so much of my other parts of life. But again, I think that was what I was coming back to, is this particular part of Carolyn is so vital. It's like breathing to me, that if I was told that it wasn't worth much, that it would just crush me in a way that a lot of other things can't. And I'm letting that fear speak. I've used this talent over my life. I have done it well. I have been commended for it. I have been sought after for it. I'm not, talking big time here, but so why do I keep listening to the bad voices? Why do I keep listening to those? It reminds me of that when you own a business and you're trying to do marketing and stuff, and it's talking about one negative review has to be conquered by anywhere from 20 to 100 good ones. So you can't you don't want to afford those. I think it's more like 100. It seems to make more sense. It takes a lot of positives to overcome a negative. And those negatives for me started from the time I was younger. And so even all the positives haven't been able to eradicate that. And so this has to be a decision, a mind shift, a change in saying, I'm not going to believe that junk anymore. I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to see it for myself. Just like, I try to, with companies, look at the reviews, look at the stuff, and then judge for myself. Hello. You pushing? You pushing it?
We're making good progress.
Yeah. Have a good day, you guys. And I want to not, people are quick to find the negative in people. They're not as quick to find the good. And I know that for myself. I don't always take the time to write a review or to commend somebody who's done a good job, whether it's at a restaurant or a business or whatever. I don't always take the time to call their manager or to fill out the survey. But a negative one, yeah, you bet. I'm going to most of the time do that. Or just leave a bad taste in my mouth and say that to other people, whether or not I do anything officially. But I'll say, oh yeah, no, I don't go there anymore because they had horrible service that time and blah, blah, blah. And so for our own personal lives, when you've had some negatives, no matter how many positives, I don't know that they always even out the scale. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping that at some point in time, there'll be enough positives that it'll erase those negatives. And the folly of that is that you have to put yourself out there enough to get those positives before they can overcome the negatives. And if you're just hiding your light, if you're hiding it under a bushel, if you're hiding your talent away, you can't get those positive responses. You can't get those, negative responses. You can't really evaluate whether or not this thing that you do is worthy because you're just hiding it away. Be like the guy with the one talent. He goes and buries it. I'll just hide it over here because I know you're a hard taskmaster, and I didn't want to lose it. He's not commended well. He's not shown mercy and grace in that. He's derided and called to account. You don't take something that I gave you and not try and do something with it. I would rather you try to do something with it and do it with the best intentions and in the best way possible that you know, and maybe fail at it a time or two, but learn as you go, than for you to not even try to use it at all. And that's a very humbling thing for me, because I can do it in a lot of other areas. I can put myself out there. But again, I think I do it with the things that I know. I'm good at this stuff. Like, I can be good at this stuff. I can look around and say that I will do this to a higher standard than most other people. So my likelihood of success is greater, and I can do that. I'll go all in on that. But the things that are actually more personal, more precious to me, oh no, let me just bury that a while. I'll go dig it up in a few years, pull it back out, dust it off a little bit, see if the winds feel right, and maybe try it then. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and go bury that. It's safer that way. And so, we need to have those people in our lives that can see us walking down into that pit, falling down into that hole, and say, oh, no. I've got a ladder for you. And I'm either going to come down there and sit with you in the dark, and we can work through this process, we can talk through it all, or you can come up here and we will work through it here and talk through it here, and you can pursue that road that is in front of you. And that's kind of scary too, because somebody else is now involved and invested in your using or not using of a talent. And so that's what I'm saying. I think I need to be really wise and upfront, be vulnerable with those people in my life who love me more than anybody else does. Not as much as my Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for that, but as more than anybody else on the earth. And put it to them and let them speak to my heart, speak to my head, help me to overcome those fears. So it's, like I said, it was kind of meandering, but I think we're going to come back to that marriage part again, talking about love as a journey, because I think there's so much more in there that I want to unpack and talk through and share about that conversation, and just as I'm thinking through it all too and trying to process, how does that apply? We're at 22 plus years of marriage. Where are we at in this? Are we doing well in the holes and ladders game? Are we doing well at keeping our ship adrift, not adrift, focused on where we're going and being able to ride the waves well? Are we doing that well? And so I think there's so much more in there that we can unpack and talk about. So we'll visit that again at some point in time. But that's probably enough of a meandering trail that we took today, as I'm trying to again process this information and share it with you, because I feel there's so much commonality between our human experience. We like to think that we are so separate, so different from each other, but we're not. Really, at the end of the day, we all want to be loved. We want to love. We want to have a place that we are known and that we feel safe and protected and needed. And if we can find that place, if we can find those people that bring out the best in us, then we can thrive. And so much of that is just common to the human experience, and exactly the details, how it all plays out day to day, the things that you struggle with versus somebody else. But at the heart of the issues, so many of them are the same things, same hurts, combining, that we can share. We can learn from each other. We can be life rafts for each other, life rings, lifesavers. And so I want to do that. I want to be vulnerable enough with those around me to share those times and to not try and act like I have it all figured out, that I've got it all buttoned up and put out the door. We don't grow and change and learn from having that perspective. We grow and learn and change from being open and honest with each other about where we struggle and where we found success and how to keep finding those, but also know that that's not how life works. We don't always succeed at everything we do. There's ebbs and flows, and we're all just trying to navigate the best that we can through the paths that we've been given. And so I want to share that with you guys and hopefully give you some encouragement and hope as you look around at your space, your life, and say, oh yeah, maybe I'm not doing as well over here as I thought I was, or maybe I have that talent over there that I need to go dig up. I need to go pull it out of its hiding spot and dust it off and be willing to use it. So I encourage you to do that. Think through those things. Think through those gifts that you have. Don't hide them under a bushel. Let your little light shine, as the kid's song says. Whatever that light is, do it. Do it well. Maybe you're an awesome artist. Maybe you can paint beautiful pictures. Maybe you can write wonderful music. Maybe you can design websites that are just stunningly attractive and make people want to come in and stay a while. Maybe you're good at business deals and you know how to find a good outcome for both parties, that you know how to do that well. Do whatever it is. You'll find that part of you that God has given. I'm going to do one more thing and then I'm going to close it. But I love that part of Revelation that talks about there's a name. There is a name that we are all given that is ours alone. God is the only one that knows it. And when he reveals it to us in heaven, it is ours alone. Nobody else will get to know that. And we were created with that thought, that word in mind. And we are so precious to him that he did that he gives us each something unique that we can't be confused with anybody else about. It's ours alone. And what a beautiful picture that is. What a beautiful thought to cling to in the midst of your struggles, in the midst of not feeling enough or too much. So I want to remind myself of that in the midst of this current mind struggle. That God has a unique name for me, that he thought of it, that he formed me from the beginning of time, from the beginning of my existence in the womb of my mother, with that thought, that word in mind. And how dare I not think of myself as highly as the God of all creation. So I think we'll leave it there. Hopefully you can find some time today to ruminate, to think on your internal monologue, your internal life, to set it in a good spot so that you can hear the voices that tell you that you have value, that you are worthy, and walk in those toward whatever is in front of you. So you guys, go have a great day. Go get them.